I honestly wish I knew this method the minute I started drawing portraits because it made my life a lot easier. Hi, I'm Judy, and in this video I will show you how I draw hair whenever I'm drawing professional portraits. I'm only gonna use one pencil that will change your life, but I recommend you having the reference picture so it will make sense what I'm doing. And this method will allow you to draw hair from any reference. I'm not going to show you how I did the general shape of the hair. I already did that in a previous YouTube video explaining the grid method. Yes, I did that using the grid, but this video is about shading the hair only. The only pencil I'll be using is this one. You can clearly see the name. I'm not going to try to pronounce that, but this pencil has literally changed my life. I'm not even kidding. You can call it a charcoal pencil or maybe a black coloring pencil, whatever you see it as. It's great. I never use pencils to draw hair anymore. Hair using this pencil makes it, first of all, a lot easier and makes it look more realistic and very professional. The method I'll be following depends mainly on this tool. It's the dotting tool used in nail art. You can find anything pointy, not too sharp, not to rip the paper, and you should just engrave the paper where you see the highlights. And you will see in a minute how this will affect our shading. As you can see, the pencil won't reach the engraved part and it will leave it kind of white, but of course we don't want it that white, so we're gonna blend. I'm only gonna use brushes for blending, small brush for small details, bigger brush, flat bigger brush for the bigger areas, and a round brush for the biggest areas. So here I started with the big flat brush, and as you can see it will cover what I've done because I don't want it as white as the paper. Of course I want it kind of darker, but then when I want to make the highlights more appealing, I can just erase it and it will be so much easier to erase because it's engraved. And that's what's hard about charcoal. It's hard to erase, it's messy. If you get it somewhere, it's nearly impossible to get it off. But now it's so much easier to erase it, and you'll see that in a minute. The eraser I'll be using for highlights is the Mono Zero eraser, and this eraser is great. I highly recommend you getting that. It's cheap and it's very handy. It's my favorite tool ever. It makes highlights way easier and it makes it way more fun to do. And for drawing hair, it's a must. I can't draw hair without it, honestly. So as you can see, I made the highlights with it, and then I'm going over it again with my charcoal pencil and again blending that. Of course, none of that would make any sense where I'm putting the highlights and where I'm putting the dark areas if you don't see the reference. So I'm just following what I'm seeing in the reference. I can see that here is pitch black and here has some highlights, so I'm engraving. So whatever the reference you're using, just follow that, and wherever you see the highlights, engrave the paper before you shade that area. And then just finish your shading as you're shading as it is pitch black, so just ignore what you've done. Just shade the same way you shaded the black areas, and you will get these highlighted areas naturally. Of course, to make your life easier, you can just divide the hair to hair strands just to kind of deal with each one individually. So I'm using for that my mechanical pencil. It's just a normal pencil, doesn't matter what it is, but I'm just kind of dividing the hair into separate hair strands so I can just shade each one, finish it and move on. I don't like to shade the whole area and then just blend it in. I like to do each area individually, and it could be a big area, it could be a small area, it could be one hair strand. It's up to me, it's up to the reference. Here in my reference, this area has a lot of like kind of hairs just flying around. It's kind of messy. So I'm dealing with each one individually just to not get overwhelmed, but later you'll see that I might get this area bigger because the hair will be kind of similar for the rest of the parts. So again, it depends on your reference, so I highly recommend you having this reference with you if you're drawing this. And if you're not, whatever the reference you have, do that based on your reference. Here I'm using a blending stem for the hairline because this is a very sensitive area. You don't want to get the skin dirty. You want to make it or keep it as clean as possible. That's why I'm not getting my pencil anywhere near the hairline or the brushes. I'm just kind of stretching what I've already shaded with the blending stem, or you can use a Q-tip, of course, just to reach the hairline. I'm not shading the hairline itself, I'm just stretching my shadows. Honestly, I wish I knew this method a long time ago, because I recently started using charcoal. I used to use only pencils, and I think now you can see how easy it is to draw hair with charcoal. I'm literally only using 3 tools: an eraser, an engraving tool, and one pencil. This one pencil saves a lot of time, and as you can see, the results are pretty satisfying to me. This is not a this is not a tutorial for beginners, that's what I'm saying. It's a professional tutorial that I legitimately use whenever I'm drawing a professional portrait, and you can see that clearly in any of my recent drawings on my Instagram account. You can check that out. But I actually use this method all the time, and it has saved me a lot of time, a lot of effort, and it's kind of fun. And one more thing, all the art supplies I'm using are explained in a separate YouTube video with the links of where I got them from, so you can check that out. It will be a big help. I always say this in my videos, but always when you draw hair, don't forget to draw just random hairs flying around, because it can't be a clear and a clean line. It has to have just like flying hairs here and there, so don't forget to do that. I'm doing that using my mechanical pencil because they are lighter than the actual hair, and it doesn't matter, as long as you don't get the pencil on top of the charcoal, it won't leave a shine. So wherever you have light areas, you can do these tiny hairs. The reason why I like this pencil more than any other charcoal pencil is because it's very smooth. As you can see, it's very easy to blend. Normally, charcoal pencils could be very tricky and messy and hard to blend. That's why we use powder with it. But here I didn't even use any powder. I only used this pencil, and as you can see, blending is very easy. And when blending could be hard, you can just use a smaller brush, because you can get into these tiny details. As you can see right now, I switched to a smaller brush, and guaranteed 100% blend. But of course you have to build up layers to get that smoothness you want. So this is just one layer, and as you can see, you can still kind of see the paper. It's not 100% blended, and that's why I will be adding more layers of charcoal on top of that as I'm going, and you're gonna see that in the video. But you will still have to add layers. It's all about building up layers to get that shade you want. So I guess the method now is clear. First of all, start with engraving the paper wherever you find the highlights, then just shade it all, pitch black, blend, do some highlights, and maybe build up layers again and again until you reach what you want. And the last important thing I would like to say is if you found this video useful, I would really appreciate it if you put a like, a comment, and maybe subscribe to my channel. This really helps. Thank you for watching. Have a good day.